The war for campaign cash heats up on both sides of the aisle. Hillary Clinton leading the way in terms of fundraising efforts. But Donald Trump is expected to get a big boost following the Republican National Convention this week. We want to bring in the chairman of the RNC Finance Committee and the Trump Victory Committee, Lew Eisenberg, joining us right now. Lew, good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I guess Wednesday we get the official numbers from the Federal Election Committee, who will tell us about fundraising. But let's get ahead of that. How's it going?
Well, you know, it's the most unorthodox fundraising environment probably that the Republican Party has ever had. We had a candidate, and we have a candidate, who was self-funding through the primary, and so had no fundraising machine. And I think he spent $51 or $52 million of his own money and won a decided victory. And then had, I think, the prudence to join up with the Republican National Committee so that he had both a ground-building capability and a fundraising organization. And I think it's doing the job for him. The secret weapon is not the finance committee that we put in place. And we have a very strong professional team, a big ground game that was put in place with record fundraising last year, and it's continuing this year. And we also have the secret fundraising weapon of Reince Priebus, who's as good a fundraiser actually as he is a chairman.
Wow.
Lew, a lot of the donors did not support Donald Trump during the primary. I mean, first of all, he didn't ask them to. And secondly, they were supporting candidates all over the board. There were 17 of us. How difficult is it to get a lot of the traditional Republican donors to come on board with you now and beat Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think it's been a process that has been moving rapidly on the increase. But it's true. We started out, there were 16 candidates whose donors, 16 other candidates whose donors, as you know.
One included.
Yeah, one of the very good ones included, who were putting their own donor bases together. And, you know, after that kind of a long and grueling campaign, it's difficult to unwind those loyalties. It takes time. But it's such a binary election, and it's so clear now who our candidate is and the direction he's taking us in compared to a continuation of the Obama legacy on the other side. I'm confident, and I can feel it here in Cleveland. I've seen and met donors who so far haven't contributed, who said count us in, that'll change radically. But that's not to say we're not doing well. We raised $51 million in our first full month, June. And we continue with a full calendar going forward. So I'm optimistic.
Well, the good news is I've asked both of my donors to come on board with you. So,
you only needed two, Governor.
Well, just so you know, I've only heard from one.
Oh, okay. I'll work on the other one.
That would be a 100% increase.
Lew, how critical is this convention to getting those donors to step up? What do they need? Is there something that they could hear or see this week that would change those minds of people who haven't yet committed money?
Well, of course, one of the things they'll see this week that they haven't had before is a new vice presidential candidate that's now running. And Mike Pence, I think, will bring in a lot of new donors who haven't been there before. And
large and
I think
small.
there'll be just a lot of enthusiasm engendered by this. Cleveland's a great place to have a convention, beautiful city. I know there's a lot of talk about what's going on, but this is going to be an unusual and stimulating convention.
But I'm glad you mentioned Mike Pence, because there's a story out there in choosing Mike Pence as his running mate. Basically, Pence being a sitting Indiana governor, it could raise some legal questions for Trump supporters who've managed money for the state. So does that put a cap on the amount of money that some donors could, you know, donate, like a Wilbur Ross or a Steven Feinberg, Tom Barrack? These are private equity firms that are listed as vendors in the Indiana public retirement system.
Yeah, I imagine it could cost some, but if there's only four, we'll be able to manage it.
Okay, yeah. So does the fundraising typically pick up after the convention? Is that what you hope? Does fundraising actually pick up after the convention? Do you think this will be a catalyst?
I think fundraising will continue to pick up over the course of the summer. Again, this is an unusual candidate, and he was self-financing through the primary, but he also has created a movement. People are excited by the candidate. He'll raise all the money he needs to win.
So we're going to see some big numbers when they release the numbers on Wednesday. If you say you've raised more than $50 million
you'll see good numbers all the way through. But you'll always see enough money because of his stardom, if you will, to be competitive.
All right, we'll leave it there. Lew, great to have you on the program today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks so much. Lew Eisenberg joining us.